Good morning. Welcome to another chilly day in Australia. It's absolutely freezing today and raining lots and lots. Hasn't stopped raining. Although today I don't think it's going to rain, so that's a bonus because coming from the UK, I bloody hate the stuff. Can't stand it. Anyway, so this week, not much to report really, but I just wanted to talk a bit about Portsmouth and Southampton. I received a picture from a lady in Portsmouth. She painted a picture for me of Clarence Pier. It's kind of this 70s, 60s, no 60s. I think it was built in the 60s. Um, Utilitarian, brutalist type architecture, and which Portsmouth is actually quite famous for. Portsmouth itself is a really tiny place, so it's actually an island, and I think it's one part after London. It's the most concentrated city in the UK. Now, as a child, I grew up in a place called Fareham Stroke Titchfield. My family come from a tiny village called Titchfield, and as a kid, I grew up in Fareham, which is, gosh, about a mile and a half out of the village itself. Wonderful childhood. On either side, you had Portsmouth and Southampton. Now, these two, what do you call them? Um, these two cities have great rivalry. Now, Portsmouth itself is a great naval city. So wherever you go, you will see you'll see naval, what do you call it? You'll see naval references everywhere. So you would see down the dockyard, you would see HMS Victory, Lord Nelson ship. You would see the Mary Rose, which was removed from the seabed, the Tudor ship. You will see lots and lots of the historic dockyard. So you will see, great naval ships of today coming in and out. And you will see the big aircraft carriers, which I saw actually just before we left, which was an amazing sight to see. They are absolutely huge. They're literally cities in themselves. I like Portsmouth. It's got really fond childhood memories for me. I mean, I remember going there a lot as a kid. Now, there was a famous piece of, once again, brutalist architecture, the Tricorn Centre, which was just archetypal 1960s, 70s, grey, concrete. Don't know what you call it really. I like it. I think today, it's been demolished now, but I think today it would be preserved because it is a reference again to that amazing time. For me, growing up in the 70s was absolutely wonderful. No technology, great childhood. Loved it. The Tricorn Centre, I was like, essentially, it was like a big car park. And I remember just going there with Nan and we'd wander around the bottom. They had markets at the bottom and stuff. And it was great. At the time, it was, it was the in thing. When I finished schooling in Fareham, I chose to go to university in Southampton. Now, remember what I said about the great rivalry. Southampton itself is, yeah, it's not a naval city. It's a merchant navy city. So a lot of the big liners come in there. The Titanic, for example, left from there. There's the Titanic Museum, and Southampton has a very different feel to it. It's a lot more open. It's a lot more green. Um, it seems larger. Well, it is larger, although there were probably equal amounts of people. Um, but yeah, Southampton was a fantastic place to go to university. I loved it. In fact, I loved it that much that I stayed there for, gosh, from 1992 to 2015. I had a few small breaks in between where I lived in Australia and moved to Wiltshire for a bit. But for all intents and purposes, I actually lived there for a very long time. After we moved to Spain, which was a wrench actually, because I had grown accustomed to Southampton and enjoyed it, enjoyed the people there, and they were really akin to family, or what I will call my gay family. And we spent 2.5 years in Spain. I always miss Southampton. Wherever I've left, I've always gone back there, oddly. It has caused me no end of grief as well, so why that used to happen, I've no idea, but I have this affinity with the place. Anyway, when I came back from Spain, I moved in with my aunt in Portsmouth. That was a strange feeling for me because I'd never really been around family to that extent. My family itself, although I loved mum and loved dad tremendously, we weren't what you would call a big family. It was just mum, dad, me and my brother. Me and my brother never got on. It never happened, even as kids, and it's even now. It's just, you know, I love him, but we just don't get on, and we don't speak. We haven't spoken for many years. We maybe see each other on those occasions, like funerals mainly, and even then you can tell there's animosity between us. So yeah, I moved in with my aunt in Portsmouth. Excuse me, dry throat this morning. Although it's cold here, Perth itself is so dry. There's no moisture anywhere, and it really gets in my throat. So I get a lot of, well, it feels like allergies, but it's the dryness that's causing it, dry atmosphere. Anyway, yeah. So I moved in with my aunt, and I was there from 2018 throughout the pandemic, and until we moved to Australia in 22. So little over 4 years really. I loved being around family. I loved being around my aunt. My aunt and myself are very similar in many ways. I suppose we were like the black sheep of the family. We kind of did our own thing, and we didn't take much notice of family rules. And we had a lot of things in common, really. And I have never lived in Portsmouth before that, but during my time there, I really grew to love the place. There are aspects of it which I've gone into in the past. The ending in Portsmouth was particularly traumatic, especially for me, which I'd rather forget. But the people I met there, so the friends, have been absolutely amazing. I had someone comment on my social media about the time I worked for Tesco this morning, and I suppose it was meant in a kind of derogatory way. Oh, you only worked at Tesco. Look, Tesco for me was amazing. The company itself is truly amazing. The people I worked with were out of this world. They were a great source of support, especially through the pandemic. And that was at a time where we had lots of different people from all different walks of life working for us. So there was people from the theatre, you name it. There was just, it was like a melting pot, really. And it worked. And I really felt I've really felt like I belonged there, and that's important. Of all the jobs I've ever had, that for me was the most satisfying. And although I enjoyed the job in a customer service role, because I love people, but it's the people I worked with. I cannot fault them whatsoever, and I keep in contact with many of them. When I look back at my time in Southampton and my childhood in Fareham, there are very few people that I keep in contact with. In Portsmouth, there are lots. There are also many I don't keep in contact with, which is sad, but it's something, it's necessary. It's something I had to do in order to move on. And as much as I have regrets in life, I don't regret saying goodbye to various individuals who caused myself and my husband lots of pain. The people at Tesco lifted me up when I needed it. So whether it was through the pandemic or at the during the last few months we were there, it was crucial that they were in my life, because had they not have been, things could have ended pretty badly, really. There was also cancer research, and I once again, volunteering it kind of became a big part of my life, and it became a part of my life mainly because of the social interaction. When your partner, so my husband was away in Australia caring for his mum at various different points, and he was still working in Spain for a while as well, actually. When I moved back, the people at Cancer Research were again important people. Zarina, the manager of the shop I used to volunteer for in Portsmouth, gosh, she was like I shouldn't say mum because she's about my age, big sister, naughty sister. Love her, still, love her to bits. She was nothing but supportive. We would discuss our ailments and our illnesses. I had a lot of health anxiety, which I still have. Zarina has a lot of issues which she doesn't care about. She hasn't got the health anxiety I have, so she used to just tell me to forget about it and move forward, move on. It's all fine. You're fine. You're alive. Don't worry about it. So the rivalry between Portsmouth and Southampton is, you used to see it in football, for example. So I used to work at the Newcombe Arms. Newcombe Arms, Salt of the Earth pub. It was a Portsmouth Pompey football club pub. Me, I knew nothing about football. I still know nothing about football, but the regulars were fantastic. They taught me everything I needed to know, really. And these people, once again, they're there in my memories. They're there for eternity. And it's that close bond once again. Now, although my bond with people in Southampton was good, especially the gay scene, there was not that closeness of normal life. The gay scene, for again all intents and purposes, is not normal. Normal life with normal people is completely different, as I discovered. The bonds that I made in Portsmouth during those 4 years is so important to me, and it speaks volumes for the people that live there. They are welcoming, they are loving, accepting, diverse, and that they truly taught me to love my fellow human being. I think in Southampton, especially there towards the end, I'd become rather bitter and twisted, and that's never a good ending to a story. Although the ending in Portsmouth wasn't great, I had some great memories to take with me, and I haven't blocked those out. They are still there, and I still speak to people, and I still message people, and they're still very much a big part of my life. So yeah, today a little bit different. It's that picture, that painting that artist Hannah Marsh sent me of Clarence Peter brought back a lot of memories, and it's now sat on my lounge wall, and I look at it, and it brings back memories of the walks I used to take during the pandemic, the childhood I spent going to the fun fair, playing the slot machines and all that with Nan and Grandad, and the beach, Southsea Beach. Southsea itself is such a beautiful place in complete contrast to Portsmouth City itself, which is quite, oh, how can I say it? It's very, it's not a pretty city at all. It's really not. It's Southsea itself, that seaside feel, that complete contrast is, I suppose, the beauty of the place. The rest of it, the salt of the earth people, the ones that live in Portsmouth, because you could never actually afford to live in Southsea itself. But the people, wow, amazing, you know. And I miss them. I miss them every day, really. Like I miss my father, and I miss all my gay friends from Southampton as well. So yeah, it's and Spain. God, I'm not going to go into Spain now because I've been talking or waffling for 16 and a half minutes. But equally, you know, I've made some great friends there, and they are still really very much a part of my life. The moral of this, the one thing I really want to say is, yes, I'm not, or I don't speak to members of my family, whether it be my brother or my cousins or whatever. But there are reasons for that. And I think they know the reasons for that. I know the reasons for that. Having said that, just because someone isn't blood, it doesn't mean to say they aren't your family. Because the bonds I've made with other people are streets above the rest. And that is sad in many ways, but it's good because I'm not a bad person. My husband's not a bad person. We're good people. Um, I think we both deserve good people in our lives. Thankfully, we have that. So, food for thought, really. Anyway, I'm off. So, ciao. Look after yourselves.